everyone, welcome to the very first ever event of AngelHack Campus of SMIT with collaboration with AngelHack Campus of NIT Patna and HackClub NIT Patna. So today our topic of the session is Introduction to Web 3.0 and Blockchain. So today our speaker is Mr. Uttam Singh, who is currently developer relations at Polygon. He's also an MLX fellow, and he's a Web 3.0 and blockchain enthusiast. So first of all, sir, a very huge congratulations on your new role at Polygon. And would you like to introduce more about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much, Harshit, for that. I've also will be introducing myself in the future slides as well. But for short, like I
Okay.
am working as a developer relations at Polygon. Other than that, I'm also a incoming MyTech's research intern. I will be researching about blockchain. I will be in Canada in summer 2022, researching about blockchain at Polytechnic Montreal, if Corona doesn't ruin it. Yeah, and I'm also excited. I'm also blockchain and Web3 enthusiast. I love to talk about this and help people to get started with it. And here I am. So I think we can start our session, if you allow, Harshit.
Yeah, sir. Over to you.
Awesome. Okay, so just give me a second. I'm sharing my screen and then we
Yeah.
can get started with the session. Is my screen visible? Are you able to see presentation?
Like I can see that. Let us see the in chat whether they can see or not.
Okay. Let me know in
Yeah.
the chat section if yes, everyone is here to us. Yeah. So in between, if there is any issue, if I'm not audible or the screen not visible, please let me know, Ashit. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So hey everyone, thanks a lot for joining. This is Uttam Singh, and you must have heard of like Web3 is coming. You must have heard of like blockchain. You must have heard of crypto these days. So I'm going to show to explain you what blockchain is and what Web 3.0 is, and whether it is for you or not, whether you should get into this or not. I'm going to clear all your myths as well. So and also I will tell you guys that I will explain blockchain to you, so whenever some other person is talking to you like blockchain and Web3, you will be able to explain it to them, right? So yeah, let's not waste more of our time and let's get started with our today's session, that is introduction to blockchain and Web3. Okay, so what is today's agenda? So today's agenda is I will be saying about me, like who am I and what I do. Other than that, we will be having our session, like we'll be explaining about blockchain, how it works and what actually is blockchain, right? And then we will be decoding Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. So to understand Web 3.0, we must first understand what Web 1.0 was. When the internet came, what were the changes, what was possible and everything, and then what happened in Web 2.0. And then we will also understand like what's actually wrong with Web 2.0. Why do we need Web 3.0, right? So we will understand that as well, and then we will understand like what Web 3.0 is, and then we will also understand about the future scope, whether it has a future scope or not. And then we will also understand about the opportunities. What are the opportunities, whether you can take blockchain and Web3 as your career or not. And then we will be having a Q&A session. So if you have any doubt, you can definitely ask me, right? So let's not waste more of our time and let's get started with our session, right? So about me, I'm Uttam Singh. I'm right now working as an engineer, and this is old. Like I was working as engineer and product intern at Polygon. Now I'm working as a developer relations intern. So yeah, Polygon is one of the companies that is shaping the Web3 world and scaling the Ethereum network. I'm also incoming MyTech's Global Link research intern. So I will be doing my research, as I said earlier, in Polytechnic Montreal in Canada in summer 2022. Other than that, I'm also working as a DevRel engineer at Crypto Capable. And also I'm a MLH fellow graduated. I graduated last year in 2021. I also have been involved with a lot of communities, like I am involved with communities like Binance and Postman and AWS community, and also I was an ex CodeChef chapter lead, and I was leading a chapter at my college. So I love to interact with communities and connect with them and share my knowledge as well, right? So if you want, you can connect with me on Twitter, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Here are my account handles. So if you have any doubts, like after this session on, or if you have any of the doubts and your doubts are not clear, feel free to DM me on Twitter or LinkedIn. I will surely try my best to help you guys, right? So now let's get started with what actually blockchain is, like our exact topic, right? So what is blockchain, right? So let's divide these terms. One is block and the other is chain, right? So let's actually divide this one, right? So what is block? Block will be anything that will contain a data, right? And that data can be anything, like if it's your name, right? If it's my name, like Uttam Singh is in the form of a string that is in the data, right? So this is actually a simple block. So for now, let's focus on the block. And we will understand chain on the other part. So let's now focus on block. We have block plus chain, and now we are focusing on the block, right? So let's just say that we have a block in front of us, right? So this block will contain three things, right? One is data, the other thing is previous hash, and the third thing is the hash, right? So what is data? As I told you that this can contain any data, and as of now, let's take example of just a hello world string. I will not take something which is very, very difficult. It is just a very simple string. If you are a computer science student, you must have known of what is a string, right? String is a data type, right? So it is actually a simple string called hello world, and it is our data, and this is stored in the block, right? And the other thing is, we have the other thing is that is previous hash. So what is previous hash? Previous hash is, it's just a value, right? Now we will get back to previous hash just in a second, but we first need to understand what hash is, right? So leave previous hash as of now, and now we will understand what hash is, right? So what is hash, right? So consider hash as a fingerprint. As like we have all the humans have different fingerprints, right? So no two humans will have same fingerprint, right? So similarly, hash is also a value that is always different. It is you can say it is a privacy, or it is a security of a block, a particular block that will be different. So if you are also right now using mobile, so if you don't give your fingerprint to your mobile to unlock it, it is not going to unlock, right? And no other person will have the same fingerprint as of yours, right? Similarly, right? So similarly, consider this hash as a fingerprint, or as a security, right? So this is actually a value. Consider right now it is as a fingerprint. So it is actually a value, and also it is made up of two things, that is data plus previous hash, right? So these two things together make a hash, right? So hash is just a value, and consider it just like a fingerprint of the particular block, right? So now what is previous hash? Coming back to the previous hash is the hash of the previous block. So there is chain of blocks, all these blocks are connected. So we will understand it in the future slides, but for now consider previous hash is actually a value or hash of the previous block, which is contained in the current block, right? And this is the reference, and if we will be looking at in the working, right? So as of now we have three things. One is data, one is previous hash, and one is hash, right? So let's now understand what actually is chain, right? So this is block. We have now understood block, and let's now understand what second word, that is our chain. So let's actually see it in working, right? So here we got our block number one, right? And our block number one is also called Genesis block. And why it is called Genesis block? Because this is the number one block. And in blockchain, the blocks will not change. Like if the number one block is this, then it will remain the number one block always, right? Forever and ever, right? So that's why we called it as a Genesis block, right? And the every first block of any blockchain is called Genesis block, right? So we have now a block number one, and it contains some data, any data you can see, and you can see that the value of previous hash is 0. Why? Because this block is the starting of our blockchain, right? So there is no previous block. There is no 0 block behind it, right? That's why the value of previous hash, and trust me, this is the only value, like this is the only previous hash whose value is going to be 0. No other block in the blockchain will have the value of previous hash as 0, right? So since it is the first block, right? This sense there is no 0 block, right? That's why the value of previous hash is 0. And then we have hash, and this hash is made up of two things, that is data plus previous hash. So data plus previous hash of both these things together create a hash, right? So this is the hash, right? And now we have our second block. We have the block number 2, right? And the block number 2 also contains the same, some kind of data, and it has a previous hash and it has hash, right? So now you will see that the previous hash of block number 2 is same to same. It is identical as the hash of block number 1. And this is where the link comes, right? And this is why we called it a blockchain, right? And because these blocks are connected cryptographically, linked together with these hashes. That's why we called it a chain, right? So these two blocks are connected, that is a link, right? So this block will contain the hash of this block, and then in future, if there is block number 3, then it will contain the hash of block number 2, right? So this is where actually the links come, right? And I'm repeating again, like it contains data, it contains previous hash, and we've also seeing it in the working as well in the future slides. So every block has its own fingerprint, or every block will have its own hash, right? And referring it to the fingerprint of the previous block, right? If it will contain the current fingerprint of the current block, and it will also contain the fingerprint of the previous block, right? So this is simply blockchain. This is actually the concept of a blockchain. So if anything were to happen to anything, to any of the block, right? So we would be knowing that somebody is trying to tamper, because if somebody is trying to change the data of our block, then the hash will change, right? The hash of the block will change, since it is made up of data and the previous hash, right? So we would be knowing that somebody is trying to tamper with our data, right? Let's if it's a very, very hard to understand, let's now see it in working, right? Let me add one more block to it, right? So moving on to our next slide, similarly we have block number 1, our Genesis block. As I said, that our block number 1 is always called Genesis block, and it contains some data, and any data, and the value of previous hash is zeros, because this is the first block and there is no zero block behind this, right? So this is simply the previous hash is 0, and we have a hash that is consider it as a fingerprint, right? Now we have block number 2. It also contains some data. It contains previous hash and also contains hash, and this previous hash is identical to the hash of our first block, right? Now moving on, we have block number 3, right? So it also contains some data. It has a previous hash, and this previous hash is identical, like there will be no change. It is same to same with the hash of the block number 2, right? And it also contains some hash, right? So this is and similarly this chain will continue, right? This will be the process, and every block has its own hash and also contains the previous hash, right? So this is the chain, and this is how again everything is connected, right? So again conceptually speaking, we can see that if anybody were to tamper with any of the block, then their fingerprint would no longer match, right? So let's take an example of block number 3, right? So if you are let's take example of block number 2, right? So block number 2, so suppose there is data in this chain, and it is storing, the chain is running, right? So later on, what happens? There is a thief, right? The thief comes and said that he is trying to change the data of block number 2, the data which is in the block number 2, right? So what he does is he changes the data, and he changes the data, right? And as I also said, that the hash is made up of these two things, the data and the previous hash, right? So if the data changes, the hash also changes, right? Because hash is made up of these two things, and if you change any of the thing, the hash will also change, right? So since the data is changed, the thief is trying to change our data, and he has changed it, right? So if he's trying to change it, then our hash will also change. So if this hash changes, then it will no longer match the value of the previous hash that is contained in the future block, that is block number 3. So if the thief is tampering with the block number 2, the hash of the block will change, and it will no longer match the previous hash of the block number 3, right? So this is this is why we say that blockchain is very, very secure, right? So since this previous hash will not change, the link with all the link will break, and we would be knowing, the blockchain would be knowing that anyone is trying to tamper with the data, right? And that's why we also say that these blocks are cryptographically linked together. And also we said, that's why, it is, very, very secure, right? So whenever someone is trying to change it, the link will break, that it will not match the previous hash, and this is how it works, right? So this is blockchain at a very high level, like very high level to get started for beginners. And there are much more concepts to it. Like there are a lot of other things that are in a block, but these three things are the main thing to understand, like how blocks are connected. So this is blockchain at a very, very, very high level, right? So there are many concepts to it, and we should but this is a very high level, like very, very high level. So this is how a blockchain it works, and this is how the blockchain is connected to each other, and it is very, very secure. That's why people say it is actually very, very strong. So let's now just understand what we learned till now. So what is a blockchain? Blockchain is a type of a database. It is a type of a database where your data is stored. So if you are a student as well, you must be knowing that everything is the data, right? If you are talking to someone on WhatsApp, that is a data. If you are doing anything, it is a data. So it is a type of database where your data is stored. It is just like a traditional, a ledger system. And other than that, blockchain also collects your information, and it stores in the block, right? So it takes your data and it stores it's in the block, right? And these blocks are cryptographically linked together to form a chain. That's why we called it block and chain, right? That is why it is called blockchain. And these records before entering into the blockchain are all verified, right? So there are miners who are mining it, and keeping all your records, and putting it into the data, into the block, right? And once a record enters into the blockchain, it can never be deleted, or it can never be altered. So blockchain is immutable, right? So if you are trying to do anything with the data, you just can't do it. If anything goes into the blockchain, you just can't change it, right? You can't alter it, right? And other than that, chronology is also maintained in the blockchain. Like, if the block number 1 is block number 1, it will remain for, forever and ever, the block number 1. You just can't take the fourth block and keep it to the second block, and keep the second block and keep it to the fourth block. And this can't happen. The chronology is maintained, and it can never be changed, right? And also, transaction can be stored on the blockchain and can be viewed on demand. So all your transaction or your everything, like crypto, if you have heard of crypto, so on crypto works on blockchain, right? So your transaction is stored on blockchain, right? So that's why blockchain is very, very distributed and a decentralized technology, and also it is immutable and also permanent, right? And also very transparent. That's why crypto is very transparent. You can see any of the transaction over there and everything, right? So this is about the blockchain technology, and it is such an amazing technology. This is the beauty of technology, that blockchain technology, that it is distributed, it is decentralized. No single authority will be controlling it, right? And we will understand more about it, like the decentralization part, in our next slide, and when we will be moving more onto the Web3, right? So this is all about blockchain, and this is at a very high level. And let's move on to our next part, that is Web3, and how it is actually connected to blockchain, right? So our next session, like our next topic, is about Web3, right? So what is Web3, right? What is actually Web3? People are talking about that Web3 is coming. There are hype on Twitter, and people are talking about it. And is it a scam or what it is, right? So let's get started with Web3. But before to understand Web3, we must understand what Web 1.0 is, what Web 2.0 was, and what were the changes, what happened, right? So what is Web 1.0? What was Web 1.0? Web 1.0 was just like a big Wikipedia, or just like a big library, where people was able to go to the internet, and they were just able to take the information, right? It was read-only web, right? So when in the 1990s, when the internet came, not much of the people were having access to internet, right? Right now we have mobile phones, but in the 1990s there were no mobile phones. People were not having access to mobile phones, or so that's why very few people were having access to the internet, right? And all these websites that now we use are dynamic. So all these websites were static, right? There was no communication, right? And there was no dynamic websites, and it was just like a big Wikipedia library where people just go and take all the informations. And there was very few people who were writing onto the internet, and it was just like a read only web. That's why we called it read only web, right? Now slowly what happened, what there came JavaScript, there came JavaScript, there came video streaming platforms and much more new technologies, right? So then what happened was web was now able to read and write. It was having the web was having the capability of reading and writing web contents. All these static websites that were in the web 2 was replaced with dynamic, interactive dynamic websites, right? We just now go to the websites and there are like bots. So we are talking to person, we are talking to person who's just sitting in a different country, and just like us, we are video calling, right? So all these static websites was replaced with dynamic website. Instant messaging became a common and natural thing for users, and everything went online, like from shopping to games, and everything went online. And big tech giant like companies like Facebook, Amazon came into existence with their product that we are going to do it, right? So all these big tech companies came into existence. Until now also we are in web 2.0, right? We are using web 2.0, and we are in the world of web 2.0. So web 2.0 is simply like read and write web, where now you are also having the right to write on the web, and we are able to interact with web, right? So also to store all your informations, like you must have heard of these tech giants, and if you're using any of their product, your data needs to be stored somewhere, right? And to give you a better user experience, like if you are right now using Instagram, you definitely want to see the content which you like, right? We definitely don't want to see the content which doesn't which doesn't like you, which you don't like, right? You don't want to see that content, right? So to give you a better user experience, these companies started to collect all your data in their big tech giant servers, like physical big tech giant servers, and these companies have control over that, right? So, and it is not wrong, because you really want to see what you like on your feed. You don't want to see any irrelevant content, right? So to give you a better user experience, these companies started to collect your data, and so all your data is stored in big huge computer. But what happened? Slowly, these companies realize that they can do a lot with this data. What they realize, that they can make a lot of money with your data. They can sell your data, they can do anything with your data, right? So this actually violated the privacy of users. So wherever you go, they knew it. Like if you are with your friends last night, whether you are chatting with someone, they knew it. They knew each and everything about you, and directly and indirectly we gave them the permission. We don't have a choice, right? We just don't read those terms and conditions. If you want to use those apps, you have to give them the permission, right? So this is the case, right? And there was trading of our data. Right now we have all these things, like if you're talking to a friend and you are saying that, hey, I want to buy a new phone, the next moment the ad shows up of Amazon, right? And AI these days is so smart that it is going to show you targeted advertisement based on your history, based on your whatever you're talking to, right? And AI these days is so smart that it knows what you are going to buy next, right? So if you have recently purchased a phone, right, so it will actually show you that you must be, it is going to show you the ads of a cover, right? So you must be buying a cover the next moment, right? You must be buying a temper glass, right? So it is going to show you that ad, right? And it was a controlled internet, like very controlled internet. Few of the companies, like 4 to 5 big tech giant companies are controlling the internet. And also there are a lot of cases like data leak breach, and recently you must have heard of that data of Facebook was leaked, right? So all of your data is now going to be on the dark web. So there is also a side of dark web where when you go to the dark web, all your data that is stored in these big tech giant server, if it gets leaked, then people can buy it, right? So this is also a issue. Like, if your data is leaked, then if someone can buy it, they can know your ID, or whatever your information is that in those big tech giant servers, right? So this is a very controlled internet, and it is not actually safe, right? It is not more safer, and it never provides you more privacy, right? So that's why we need Web 3.0. So what is Web 3.0? Web 3.0 is, you can say, it is a future of internet, which is the aim of which is to provide you more security, like more decentralization as well. You can see on the screen as well that right now in the Web 2, what happens is that all of our devices, like our mobile phone, our laptop or computer, whatever you use, it is connected to a single server, right? All your data is stored in this server, and these companies are controlling this server, right? So this is what Web 2 is. But in Web 3, your data will be distributed over whole network, right? So no single authority or no single company or even of a government will be controlling the data. Your data will be on peer-to-peer network, and it will be distributed over whole the network. That's why we called it a read, write, and own web. So it is also a own web where you will be owning your data, right? You will be owning your data. No company or no government, everything, no one will be controlling the data, right? None will have the authority over your personal data, and there won't be any centralized server, right? And your data can be even stored in a refrigerator or in a toaster if it has access to the internet, right? So this is why we called it read, write, and own web, right? And now, what is the underlying technology that is used behind Web3? So the underlying technology that is used behind Web3 is blockchain. As you can see that centralized servers and centralized Web2, you can see everything is connected to a single server. But in the blockchain, in the Web3, using the blockchain technology, your data is not stored in a single server, and it is distributed over whole the network. And this is the true beauty of blockchain. We understood about the blockchain technology, that how it is distributed, how it is secure, right? So this is the true beauty of blockchain, that it is decentralized, it is secure, and it is more private. And also, blockchain isn't the only technology that is used behind Web3. There are lots of other stacks as well, and decentralized web stack, but blockchain is the main stack that is used, right? And now, let's understood what we learned till now, like, what is web and Web3. Let's do just a quick revision. So Web 1 is like, users could only, go to these websites, static websites, and they can just read the information, it was like just like a big, huge library where people could just go take the information, right? And Web 2 is like, more people could interact with each other. Like we have now Facebook and Twitter, we are interacting with each other. And Web 3 is about the, data owning phase, like, removing the central authority, removing this middleman, right? So we will have owner, we will be the owner of our data. No company will be controlling the data, right? And also, in Web 1.0, it was read only web. Web 2.0 is read plus write web. So now you are having the access, you have the right to write on this web. And Web 3.0, it is a read, write plus own web. So, you will have the power to, own it, right? In Web 1.0, it is static, right? It is actually static, like all these websites are static and there was no interaction. In Web 2.0, it was dynamic, like, when we now go to the websites, these all are dynamic, we are able to talk to people. And in Web 3, it is decentralized, that no central authority or no single company, right? So this is all about, Web 2, Web 1, and Web 3, right? And this is the phase of decentralizing the internet, giving more power to the community, giving more access to the, people, and giving more power to the community, and, providing greater privacy and greater transparency to the user, right? So how Web3 will change our lives, right? So Web3 will give you more access, right? You will have more access and more access to the internet, right? So since, as I told you, that there are no companies controlling the data, no companies controlling the flow of the internet, and there are no regulations, right? And since there are more regulations, so they can actually take any of your site down, and they can stop you from reaching to a particular website. But in decentralized internet, it will not happen. There will be no such regulation. You will have more access to knowledge, and you more access, and more access to the knowledge, right? So this is how Web3 will change your life, and it is very, very secure. As I also said, that in Web2, like what was happening is that your companies were controlling your data, and they were knowing like whatever you do. But in Web3, since these companies will not have control over your data, and you will be safe from cyber attacks as well, and it will provide you better control over the data, right? And it will provide you true ownership of your data. And talking about the true ownership of your money as well, like crypto is doing the same thing, right? Crypto is just a small part of internet. Crypto, if you have heard of scam 1992, right? So what happened in scam 1992? Our bank gave all of our money to a single person. He was not able to repay it, and all of the money of single people, like common people, were gone, right, in a single night. So crypto is providing you true ownership of your money, and it is just a small part of internet, a small part of the Web3 world, right? So this is how Web3 is providing you true ownership of your data, of your money, and everything, right? And there will be no monopoly with the information as well. If you haven't heard of, like, there was a case in USA, like in the US election, where was a company called Cambridge Analytica, with the help of Facebook. What it was doing was that in the election there are two parties, right? Party one and party two. So Facebook was only showing the good side of party one, and it was actually playing with the minds of people, right? So this is wrong. So this was actually happening in US, right? So this was the case of Cambridge Analytica. If you want, you can just Google it, Cambridge Analytica. You will learn more about it. And there will be no, as I said, that there will be no monopoly with the information. All of our power will be given to the community, and it will be a peer-to-peer network. Community will be controlling it, and it will be a high secure, right? It will be high security. So no 4 to 5 big major companies will have monopoly with the information, and no tracking of your location or your talks. Definitely they will ask for your locations and access to your data to give you better user experience, but there will be more security, like since these companies are not controlling your data, you will have the ownership of your data. And this is how the Web3 is going to change all of your lives. And also there will be no ID and password as well. Like right now we have more IDs, we have more passwords, right? So we are sometimes also we are unable to learn those ID password, and it is a mess, right? So in Web3 there will be no ID and password. You just have to click on your wallet button, and you will be connected to the Web3 world, right? So wallet is just like a key to connect to the Web3 world, right? So this is how Web3 is going to change your life. And these are very few points that I said. There are many other advantages as well. And the Web3 is coming, and this is actually the future of internet, and evolution is the thing, right? Evolution has to come, whether it is of humans, whether it is of technology, and it will actually grow. And now talking about the future scope, people are actually using Web 3.0, and it's not like that Web 3 hasn't come. Web 3 is here, and people are using talking to it, and people are actually using it. As you can say, people are tweeting that Web 3 users are getting paid more than Web 2 employees. Yes, this is happening. Like Web 3 users are earning more. Like in Web 3, you will be you will actually earn, right, to use the web, right? So if you are a gamer, right, people are actually choosing game as their career. So you will be paid to play those games, like paid those Web 3 games, you will be paid, right? And as I also said that there are much other things like NFT. If you have heard of NFT, right, non-fungible token, NFT will be in the future. Like if in your ticket, like if you are going to attend a conference call, if you are traveling, everything will be an NFT. And crypto, as I said, you are providing you true ownership of your money, right? So it is also a future, right? And as I say that people are learning Web3, and people are blown away by that. People are building dApp, right? What is dApp? dApp is a decentralized application. So right now we use applications, But in Web3, we will be using decentralized application. And this is the high opportunity. And, we will be rebuilding the internet again from scratch. And you can build anything, like whatever you want. It's just like building a city from scratch. There are hospitals, you can build a park and everything, right? So this is a high chance, and you can actually be the next Mark Zuckerberg, right? You have the chance to become the next Mark Zuckerberg and decentralize anything. So right now, if you have any idea of, you could say, applications, right? So try to make it decentralized, right? So there are a lot of ideas, and you can take it, and this is the high time, I will say, right? And what are the now career opportunities? Let's talk about what are the career opportunities in Web3. Whether as a student you can learn about Web3, or you can choose it as a career, or what is it, right? So there are a lot of jobs and career opportunities in Web3. If you want, you can become a blockchain engineer, you can become a blockchain developer, you can handle all those blockchain and everything, right? You can become a developer relations, if you want to, on the community side. If you are on the technical side as well, if you want to collaborate and you love doing things, you can become a developer relations. You can, if you are not on the, if you are on the community side, you like to do some non-tech work as well, so you can become a community manager, right? You can become a crypto analyst, you can become a growth hacker, you can become a Web3 developer, you can become a full stack web developer, and a DeFi developer. What is DeFi? DeFi is decentralized finance, right? Right now we have finance, we are using those banks and everything, but in Web3 we have decentralized finance, right? So you can become a DeFi developer. And also you can all those jobs that are in Web 2 will be available in Web 3, right? So all those front end jobs will be available in Web 3 as well, right? There will be some small changes that web developers need to learn, like on the backend side it will be a lot of changing, but on the front end, like, it will be not much change, right? So you can find all those things in your what I say, that all those jobs in Web3 world as that, right? And you can become a miner as well, or a staking as well. You can earn through that as well. So what is mining? Mining is actually a process of mining those blocks. In future, if you remember, in the first slide we learned about the blockchain, and then to add the blocks to our chain, there is a process called mining, right? So if you do that, you will earn money, right? So if you can become a miner, you can stake your tokens, and other non-tech and jobs and internships as well. So if you are not from a tech background, if you want to get into Web3, and there are a lot of other non-tech jobs and non-tech internships as well, and every company is hiring, like there is, like few start, like what I say, that there is every day a new startup, right? So all these startups are hiring for non-tech jobs, or any of the jobs, right? So something like, or you can say that, like a customer support or design, if you're into marketing, if you're into sales or anything like that, you can join these companies. Other than that, you can launch your own product. You can start your own company if you are someone who is into a startup or anything, right? If you have a product, you can launch your own product, right? And there also you can get funding. If you show people that I'm building something and it is actually useful, then people will fund you. People will provide you grant to build it, right? And as a student as well, if you want some extra money, there are various campus ambassador programs as well. You can find it out, and you can take part in that as well. And I will say that if you want jobs in Web3 and blockchain, do cold emailing, right? As I said, that there are a lot of companies coming daily, and they want employees, right? They want employees, and trust me, these Web3 companies, some of the companies are paying more than what you have heard, like the biggest pay. These companies are paying actually more than that, right? So if you want, you can definitely cold email them. You can ask them, and if you want any help, like, I share all those resources on my Twitter as well, like where to find jobs and everything. Just a second, if you give me a minute, I will share some of the resources where you can actually find those jobs and everything, right? So I guess I will share it in the end. But other than that, this is the high time. If you want to learn about blockchain, if you want to choose this as your career option, then definitely this is the high chance, and you can definitely go for it, right? And now, coming on to our conclusion of the session, like, what is Web3, whether you should get into it or not. So this was the, evolution of web. And evolution is the thing that you just can't stop. We humans evolved from monkeys, and, similarly, web is also evolving. So you just can't stop it. And right now we have Web 3.0, in future we will have Web 4, Web 5. So this is the thing. And, everything changes. And so does the internet. And now the thing is that now each one of us will hold a piece of the internet. Isn't it amazing? Like, now we don't have we don't own internet, but in Web3, each one of us will hold a piece of internet. So this is how Web3 is, and it is actually amazing. And, it is coming. So it is a high chance. If you want, you can, definitely go for it, and you should definitely choose this as your career as well. Right. So yeah, coming on to a conclusion, like, I hope you guys liked the session, and, you will choose and you will learn more about blockchain and Web3. And, if you need any of the help, feel free to reach out to me, and, I will definitely try to help you. And if you have any questions, like, I have like 5 minutes, so, you can ask any of the questions, and I can, you can unmute yourself, or, I can see it in the chat as well. So whatever you want. Also, Harshit can also read it out. But before that, I will be sharing resources like, where to find that jobs and everything. But yeah, Harshit, you can move on and ask questions.
Yeah, first of all, such an amazing session, sir. So moving on to the question, we have question from Ansuman, like how to program in blockchain and what are its prerequisites?
Okay, so to program on blockchain, I guess, you must learn how blockchain works, right? You first must learn how blockchain works and everything. So learn more about the theory part first. And then if you are clear with the theory, go for like how you can code for it, like learn a single language on what blockchain is used. Like most of the blockchains used Golang. So learn Golang first, and, then if you want to I'm talking about core blockchain engineering. If you want to build on Web3, like if you want to build on web blockchain, that is a different thing. You are building on top of a blockchain. You are building dApps, let's Web3 dApps. But if you want to learn about like the blockchain, the core blockchain, how it is, you must learn like Golang and all these languages. And if you learn these languages, and then you can move on to, looking at the code base of these big blockchains. Like if you know about Ethereum, you can just go to the Ethereum. It is open source. You can go to Ethereum and you can learn about what blockchain is and everything, right? So you must learn a language first, and then you can, move on to it, and you must understand how it actually works, right? So Web3 development and blockchain engineering is two different things, right? Cool.
Yeah, so next question is from Asu, like when Web3 will be implemented totally?
Okay. So Asu, right? I don't know what his name. So it takes time, right? So, right now we are using mobile phones, right? We have now access to mobile phones, but nobody in future thought that, what we would be having like mobile phones and everything. It will be a dream for people who were born in 90s, right? So similarly, nobody can actually predict what will be the future of Web3, but definitely, people are using Web3, and it will take like some time to get it into mainstream. Like, according to me, it will take like 4 to 5 years to come into mainstream, right? But this is the high chance, and things take time, right? Evolution is not a small process. It takes time. So definitely, 4 to 5 years it will take to come into mainstream.
Okay. So we have one more question from where's that one? Yeah, from Frank. I want to know the different layer in a blockchain in short, like how are they differ?
Can you read questions again? I didn't got it.
Yeah, I want to know the different layer in a blockchain in short. How are they differ? I think he want to write how are they different.
Okay. So if you are talking about like different blockchains, so if you're talking about Bitcoin, so Bitcoin is just a normal blockchain in which your transactions are stored, right? You just can't, write your code and put it into the Bitcoin blockchain. That is not. That's why that's why we called it a simple blockchain, not a programmable blockchain. But Ethereum, on the other hand, what Ethereum is, it is a programmable blockchain, right? So if you have any of the dApps, if you have any of the code written, you can actually put that code into the blockchain, right? So these are some differences of the blockchain. That's why, Bitcoin blockchain is not a programmable blockchain, but Ethereum and Solana and all these other blockchains are programmable blockchain, right? So this is, I guess, this is the question if you're trying to ask. And on the blockchain side, like on the core blockchain side, there are, different things, like, as I said, that there's the coding of Genesis block. There are a lot of other things that you need to learn, and there are a lot of other concepts in the blockchain, like, there are a lot of other things like nonce value and everything. So this is a very, big thing to explain. It will be another session. So if you want, you can Google more about it, like what blockchain is, how it actually works, what are the things that a blockchain contains. So you will learn more about it. Yeah, I can take one more questions, and yeah, sorry, I will have to go. So last question. Yeah.
Okay, so we have next question is from Aditya. So where is the language solidity used?
Okay. So as I said in the previous question, like when explaining the answering the previous question, as I said that Ethereum is a programmable blockchain, right? So to put your code into the blockchain, there is another specific language in the Ethereum blockchain, right? So Solidity is used in Ethereum blockchain to create a smart contracts. What are smart contracts? Smart contracts are just a piece of code, right? It is a piece of code that is executed whenever some condition is given, right? So the Solidity language is used in the Ethereum blockchain to create dApps or create a smart contracts, right? So this is the Solidity language used in. And on the other blockchain, like Solana and other blockchain, they use different language like Rust, C++. But on the Ethereum blockchain, you must use Solidity to create your dApps and to create smart contracts, right? Cool. Okay, so I guess I will have to go. And if you have any of the more questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I will definitely try to help you. And if you want, you can definitely reach out to Harshit as well. I know him, and he will reach out to me as well. And he's doing an amazing work. So do appreciate him. Like also he's doing some amazing work. Do follow AngelHack as well. These guys are doing some amazing work. And yeah, if you need any of the help, do connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn or DM me, or I share some resources as well. So I guess that will be helpful for you guys as well. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining this session, and over to you, Harshit.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Uttam, and it was so awesome hosting you, and it was such an informative session. Like I learned a lot about Web 3.0, and I have also used like MetaMask wallet, but I never understood, like the behind, like how why it was so what was so working. So it was very awesome. So thanks a lot once again.
Okay, awesome. Thank you,
And
Adit.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. As just I wanted to say one thing, if you wanted to connect with Uttam, so as he said, but I'm also repeating, like he's also doing very awesome stuff so on Web 3.0 and blockchain. So do follow him on Twitter, and if you have any doubt, just DM him on Twitter, and also you can DM me out. I will happy to help you out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Harshit. Thank you, Harshit.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Uh, like, just give me a minute. Okay. Uh, so today this was all about the session. So we will also be giving some special giveaways. So stay tuned to stay tuned to our WhatsApp group. So that's all about it. So thank you everyone for joining the session.